State-sponsored kidnapping, activist Souleymane Gbagbo Kone arrested in France by Macron's police at Ouattara's request. Is Macron's France sinking definitively into arbitrariness and the repression of African opponents? The question arises after the violent abduction of Ivorian activist Souleymane Gbagbo Kone, a well-known pro-Gbagbo figure and fierce critic of Alassane Ouattara's dictatorial regime. On Wednesday, February 26, 2025, around 9 p.m., the activist was leaving his apartment building at 33 Avenue Émile Zola in Villeneuve-Saint-Georges, Val-de-Marne, with his friend Bélame, who is also an activist. As they exchanged their last words, an unmarked vehicle suddenly appeared out of nowhere. A mafia-style operation unfolds. Heavily armed, masked agents suddenly emerged from the car and rushed toward him. He tried to resist, a struggle ensued. Blows rained down on him, his tooth was broken, and his body was beaten. The goal was clear, to incapacitate him and forcibly take him away, but fate played an unexpected trick on the kidnappers. Alarmed by the violent scene unfolding in the street, a patrol of the French police arrived on the scene. The masked men, caught off guard, attempted to justify themselves by flashing police badges. However, the exchange did not go unnoticed. It became evident that this operation was neither legal nor conventional. An arrest ordered by Alassane Ouattara. Has France, which prides itself on being a democracy that respects human rights, become an extension of African dictatorships? This brutal abduction is no accident, it is a direct continuation of Alassane Ouattara's repressive methods, as he hunts down his opponents wherever they may be. Just as happened with Steve Biko in Mauritania, Ouattara is now operating internationally to neutralize those who expose his criminal regime. And Macron is opening the doors for him. The excuse given: an obligation to leave French territory, OQTF, on the grounds of an irregular immigration status. What a joke! Who doesn't know that behind these so-called administrative decisions lie purely political motives? In reality, Souleymane Gbagbo Kone is in grave danger. His deportation to Côte d'Ivoire would be a death sentence. He is one of the most troublesome faces of the exiled resistance. A meeting with his lawyer confirms the situation. Proof of the gravity of this case, the activist recently met with his lawyer, Maître Sylvain Senda, a well-known defender of human rights and a staunch advocate for the protection of African opponents. A recent photo confirms this meeting and attests that he is in good health despite the violence he endured. But the question remains, for how long? This arbitrary arrest should not be downplayed, as it is part of a broader strategy to repress dissent under the guise of administrative measures. France, a land of asylum or a banana republic serving dictators? If an opponent can be abducted in France by foreign agents, then no one is safe anymore. Today, it's Souleymane Gbagbo Kone. Tomorrow, who? Journalists? Whistleblowers? Ordinary citizens? Has Macron and his repressive apparatus decided to turn France into a hunting ground for African dictators? How can a country that claims to be a beacon of the Enlightenment and the Declaration of Human Rights allow such practices? These methods are reminiscent of past roundups, of authoritarian regimes where dissenting voices are silenced by force. France is no longer a sanctuary for freedom fighters, it has become the enforcement arm of African dictatorships. This political arrest is only the beginning of a wider crackdown. The African diaspora must rise against this alarming drift, because if Macron's France becomes a banana republic where African dictators dictate their law, then no one is safe anymore. To be continued. Brothers and sisters of the diaspora, I am making this communication to give you an update on the situation of Mr. Souleymane Kone, who is being held in the Vincennes detention area. He is accused of being in an irregular situation on French territory. The prefect made two decisions against him. An OQTF, an obligation to leave French territory, and an IRTF, ban on returning to French territory, of 24 months. Of course, we will challenge all of these decisions before the competent courts, in particular the administrative court. We do not yet have the procedure to see what exactly the line of defense will be, in the interest of Mr. Souleymane Kony. What is certain that he had made a request for political asylum which had been rejected. He went before the National Asylum Court. There too, he was unsuccessful. He made a request for a review of his file which had been deemed inadmissible, and Mr. Souleymane Kony has since requested an appointment at the prefecture so that he can be regularized on another basis, because he has a child on French territory who is in school. As such, he was summoned to appear at the prefecture in September 2025. I have not yet received the entire procedure. I have just made a request to the clerk of the Judge of Liberties and Detention of the Paris Judicial Court. I am waiting for this procedure to be sent to me by email. What I mean is that Mr. Kony is not disturbing public order. Mr. Kony made a request for regularization since he has a summons for next September at the prefecture. What is strange in this procedure are the conditions of arrest of Mr. Kony, for an undocumented immigrant or for a person seeking to regularize his administrative situation, that the prefecture can send police officers wearing balaclavas. I would like to point out that a balaclava is only authorized in exceptional circumstances, generally when it comes to anti-terrorist operations, serious crime, or the transfer of dangerous detainees. We are also not in a law enforcement deployment, justifying fireproof balaclavas. It is in these conditions that Mr. Souleymane Kony was arrested. The police set up a surveillance device in front of his home, and when he came out, they immediately recognized him and he was violently arrested. So it is these conditions that concern us. These conditions of arrest that suggest that there is a dark hand behind the Kony affair. I will have the procedure tomorrow, and I assure you that we will put all our skills and expertise into it so that our brother is released, because if unfortunately he is sent back to Côte d'Ivoire, well, Mr. Alassane Ouattara will do what he wants. You know the rest. Don't panic, Mr. Kony is doing well. He is in good spirits and we are here to provide him with a quality defense. We will do everything to get him out of this detention area and regain his freedom. The second procedural phase will take place before the administrative courts to challenge all the prefectural decisions that I have just given you. Thank you. Chris Yapi does not lie. Find Chris Yapi on his 2 YouTube channels, his Rumble channel, his TikTok, X, Instagram, VK and Threads accounts.